we are now going to proceed with a council commemoration of Black History Month, which is always a really joyful occasion, and so excited with the program that is before us today. I think that it's so important to not only reflect and celebrate, but also have opportunities to engage in meaningful conversations. Let me say that for us, racial equity and social justice are what we strive to achieve here in Montgomery County. Recognizing February as Black History Month is one small way that we continue our work on this urgent moral and socioeconomic endeavor. It is during this month that we pause to recognize and remember people and events in the African diaspora and the struggles and sacrifices made by African Americans to shape the United States. It is also a time to celebrate and honor the achievements and leadership of African Americans who have contributed significantly to the growth and development of our county, our state, and our nation. This month also shines the spotlight on our respective roles in this shared history and forces us to recognize the unconscionable and horrific acts of the past which still shape our society today. This involves difficult and uncomfortable conversations, but those need to be had. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, the ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by bad people, but the silence over that by the good people. We are fortunate to live in a community where we can engage in these conversations, grounded in our values of understanding, tolerance, and respect for individuals of all races. These values are continuously under attack by forces that seek to divide our nation. We rebuke these aggressions and continue to stand up for the values that we believe in, and we join together to push forward seeking racial equity and social justice. For today's video program, the council worked with the community representatives to remember and honor our county's history through the African American Historic Sites Project and the creation of the Remembrance and Reconciliation Commission. The goal of these initiatives is to preserve our shared history and to learn lessons from residents who have shaped these communities. I want to especially thank and recognize the work of those profiled in the video, including Ms. Dina Clark, Charlotte Cofield, Mr. Warren Fleming, Ms. Anita Neal Powell, and Ms. Patricia Tyson. Highlighting these initiatives have only strengthened my resolve to turn the lessons of our history into action. We will continue the work of creating a racial equity and social justice policy for Montgomery County, and all of my colleagues in the leadership of this county have begun that work already. Our county's population has changed both in numbers and in diversity, and this did not happen overnight. Addressing issues of racial equity is not only a moral obligation, it is essentially to ensure the continued economic vitality of our county. It is so uplifting to serve with so many extraordinary leaders that have already committed to this work. I think that we all understand that it is important to commit ourselves to envisioning and operationalizing policies to institutionalize new models of governing that use the lessons of the past to create a more equitable future. We can no longer simply give lip service to social justice, and I encourage all of you in this room to help us engage in the tough issues associated with this type of systemic change, and to let us know your thoughts about how we can build an even better and stronger Montgomery County that meets all the needs of all our residents. This really has been, I think, a very important conversation. I'm always reminded that, those of us that sit over here, as well as members of the Board of Education, we're always so busy doing our committee work and our council session work and policy work, et cetera, and sometimes it's difficult to pause and really take the time as a body to engage in really in-depth and robust conversations about where we are and reflect on where we need to go. So I hope that this year, as president, I'll have the opportunity to lead more of these types of conversations, because it is really important to have everybody in the room like this and for us to take the time to do this. And I want to say that, it's so inspiring to know that there are going to be conversations that will lead to certain outcomes. Some are small in nature, some are going to be very big in nature. I do want to commend President of the board, Shebra Evans. Last night they did adopt a resolution to take a look at school names and make sure that the school names actually reflect positive history of inclusion and tolerance in our county. And this was something that was initiated by a particular community, and I sent a letter to to board president, and they quickly acted. And so that's what I think, that's how power and really quick response to community needs, not necessarily waiting for leaders to do it, but when the community steps up, this is what it's all about. And so I do commend that. And that may be, in some people's minds, a small step, but it's really huge, because we live at a time where it's so easy to just Google the name of a particular school. And when we have the kind of, student body that we have, I think that we need to make sure that those names do reflect those kinds of inspirational figures. But there will be more, there'll be other very important decisions that we have to make vis-a-vis, legislation or budgetary decisions that have to be made that really will have the long impact. And so I welcome everybody's participation in all of this. And just saw Jane Park over there from Impact Silver Spring. Thank you for being here as well, because everybody here does great work.